Hello guys, welcome back to my channel where I keep you updated with immigration news across the world. Now, I want to give you information concerning Nigerians and other international students who are residing in Germany. As I speak to you now, they say that up to 7,000 Nigerians are facing deportation plus other international students, which has caused a lot of protest in that very country. They say that these people need to define, you know, their their immigration status. Now, remember that most of these students, after studying, they would want to remain in Canada. But sometimes I begin to wonder, we do see in Africa whereby these countries come in to say, we are looking for immigrant, 2,000 immigrants from this country. Every year we give out visa lottery. So what is your problem? Why are you now looking for people to deport? I don't understand it, honestly. Anyways, let's quickly take a look at it because I have a couple of videos that I want to share with you. Please, all you have to do is just to follow me up on all the social media platforms and share the videos to create awareness. Now, they said that there are currently ongoing demonstrations in Canada as about 70,000 international students are at risk of being deported from the American country. City News Toronto report this figure was given by representatives of Nigerian Support Network, a student advocacy group, stating that more than 70,000 graduates are at risk of being deported when their work permit expire at the end of 2024 this year. Recall that on Tuesday, the Trudeau administration announced that fewer temporary foreign workers will be allowed in Canada under tightened rules. The administrative policy was announced by the Canadian government in January, which would cut the number of new international student permits by 35% from the 2023 number effective September 1st, 2024. So starting from next month, voila, next month is here already, which is September. In May, the government said that beginning in September, international students would only be able to work off campus for a maximum of 24 hours per week. A group of students set up encampment outside the Legislative Assembly in Prince Edward Island on Tuesday, protesting overnight for more than 3 months. Media reports stated that similar demonstrations were witnessed in Ontario, Manitoba, and British Columbia. The students are facing a critical situation as new provincial policies for a 25% reduction in permanent residency nominations have left many unexpectedly vulnerable to deportation, according to the report. Now, what is this leading to? It's leading, it means that in the nearest future, everybody will have to repair their country. So Nigerians, everybody will soon realize that you need to build your country. You don't have to depend on Japa. Japa is over. Japa is over. This is a country that was in the past looking for immigrants. Oh, come and apply for immigration, apply for our visa, this thing. Today, they are the ones chasing people because the Japa is too much. Now, besides the protests among federal policy changes, hundreds of international students and immigrant workers also held rallies in past few months throughout Brampton, pushing back against a narrative that blamed them for local housing and job crisis, City News reported. So they said that they have taken over their jobs and their businesses. So they no longer need them in that very country. Let us take a look at some of the videos that I obtained in Germany, because of the protest.
Stand firm!
So these are Indian students.
Don't blame us! Fix your system! Fix your system! Fix your system!
So these are some of the videos I've obtained so far. So let's listen to City News.
We are less than 2 weeks away from the start of the school year, and for a segment of our population, that comes with much angst. Thousands of international students here in Canada are worried about their future in this country. This is a topic that's being explored in a 30-minute special by Omni News Punjabi. And joining us now in studio is Omni reporter Jaspreet Pandir. Jaspreet, thank you so much for being with us today. I know that this is a story that a lot of people have also expressed concerns about, including many of the 50,000 international students in our country right now. You spoke with them. Walk us through what they're worried about.
Oh, thanks for having me, Faiza. So they are protesting. The protest is happening coast to coast from PAI to Ontario to Manitoba and British Columbia. International students who came here chasing a Canadian dreams and a new life are being forced to leave this country, their dreams cut short.
Okay, and walk us through why that is. Why are they facing this deportation?
If you remember earlier, the federal government announced policy changes. Well, now we are seeing the impact of those changes. There are over 50,000 students who took massive loans, spent their family savings, and we never seen numbers like this before. They were promised a new life at one point. Now government is saying, finish your study, go back to your country.
And we have to remember too, on top of the cost of living here that many people are struggling with in Canada, there's also the higher cost of tuition for these students here. What are these students saying and doing right now in the face of this policy change?
They are scared. They are in fear. Most of them on the line. I was an international student, but my generation never had to experience this feeling where the rules change without warning, and now they're stuck in limbo.
You do have this interesting perspective yourself. You mentioned that you were an international student at some point too. And so when you're speaking with these students here, what sort of emotions are they feeling?
Oh, so there are very heart-touching stories. So I talked with one Brampton-based international student. He was saying that he spent 6 years in this country. He studied here. He paid 3 times more tuition fees than an average Canadian student. He was a frontline worker. He put everything on the table to build his career, but he's in the level of uncertainty. He doesn't know whether he will stay here or leave this country and start his career from his back home from the scratch.
That's a difficult position to be in, and you're hearing these stories here, and viewers at home too, you can be hearing these stories too with the special temporary status permanent residents international students in Canada. Walk us through when this will air and speak to people a little bit about what they can expect.
So we are hearing their first-hand stories about how they contribute to Canada's economy with the goal of being a Canadian citizen one day, but their feelings are blindsided now. So there are many stories like this. We will airing these stories and sharing all these stories on Omni News, and we are also putting a web article on City News and Omni News websites.
Okay, and when is it airing? You said it's airing tomorrow and repeat Sunday and Monday?
It's airing on Saturday at 6:30 and on Sunday 6 p.m. and Monday repeat 8 a.m.
Okay, we'll for sure be tuning in, and make sure to go check out Omni News as well as citynews.ca to make sure that you could really hear these voices and concerns from these students. Jaspreet and the entire Omni News team, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. So this is the report coming in from these people here on their own side. Now, let me give you a hint more. All these things happening now and then, immigration policies, immigration problems happening across the globe, is showing that in the nearest future, everybody will have to, hope on their countries for a better life. You are no longer going to be hoping on on Jackpa, on other countries, on abroad. Nobody will be carrying flags to pray in the churches for Jackpa to go to Bodoyibo. No. Everybody will now have to focus on their countries to make it better and make it work. We are no longer going to depend on, when I get to America, this will be better for us. We are going to be holding our government accountable. Without that, you know that there will be no future. And except these white people stopped these accepting immigrants from Nigeria, saying, you people should come and stay in our countries, there will be no future for these countries. There will be no future. Now, the advocacy group and students are calling on the federal government of Canada to extend work permits and provide clear pathways to permanent residency, emphasizing that they contribute significantly to the Canadian economy and deserve fair treatment, according to the report. So they have used you, collected your school fees in dollars. Okay, imagine somebody who is schooling in Canada. You are going to be paying in Canadian dollars. You are going to transpose the money from Naira to Canadian currency and pay your school fees. You are paying in dollars. So thereby killing your own country to raise this country. But now your hope was that after schooling, you're going to get a better job in Canada, stay there, make some good money too, and then, replace it where you must have taken it. But in this case now, they are telling you that you are no longer useful to the country, you are useless. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced on Monday that the Canadian government would reduce the share of temporary workers in the low-wage stream that employers can hire as part of an effort to curb the surge in temporary immigration following the pandemic. The reduction will be at a level of 10% of their total workforce, down from 20%. These changes, which will take effect on September 26th, follow previous adjustments made in March and over the summer. Moreover, the government will no longer process applications from employers in regions with an unemployment rate of 6% or higher. The maximum time workers can be employed in the low-wage stream will also be cut to 1 year, down from 2. So, Wahala has busted out. Let me play you this video from TVC.
Canada, where thousands of international students have taken to the streets across Canada. The demonstration has been in the last 1 week over new immigration policies introduced by the government of Canada. According to a report by local media, approximately 70,000 students hit major provinces, including Prince Edward Island, Ontario, Manitoba, and British Columbia. The protest came in response to a series of immigration reforms that have left many international students fearing deportation. Nigerians studying in Canada are reported to be one of the highest immigrants after India. Now we have joining us from Canada a Nigerian journalist based in Canada, Agogo Obo, who bring us up to speed with development there. Good to have you join us.
Good to have you join in also. I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, absolutely. I can hear you. One of the reasons also they have given for these new immigration policies is that it is taking a toll on jobs and housing. I wanted to speak on that just broadly before we get into how this concerns Nigerians.
Great. So you're right. It's a multifaceted approach in trying to understand exactly how this policy happened. But more of housing rather than jobs, because recent surveys done here seems to suggest that Canadians are less interested in the jobs being taken by foreigners. In fact, most of the jobs being taken by immigrants, jobs most Canadians will most likely not get involved with. But more with housing. Housing is rent and purchase of housing done by more than 50% in the past 2-3 years. So it has a lot more to do with housing. So you've had over 1 million national students coming to Canada in the last 5-6 years. And apparently, mainly Ontario province has more of those numbers, in that more than 90% of them did not make provision for the housing for the students while they came in. And most of the students, I'm sure, like we found out, haven't left after they finished schooling. So it's put a lot of pressure on housing. And, how they're going to go about it, especially with the election coming up next year, is also adding to the dynamics of the bigger debate around immigration.
Let's play up the data, because when you look at the number of students in Canada, just by the visas that have been issued, it is a lot. Between January and June in 2023, 18,000 Canadian study permits were issued to Nigerians. That's just January to June. And we're also the highest immigrants after India. We see that Canada's fastest growing international student population is also Nigerians. And when you look at the entire population, what does this mean, or the implication of this for Nigerian students?
Well, it's interesting you play those side by side with India, even though the Indians have a lion's share of those numbers. Between 2016 till date, they've got over 1 million international students. Numbers suggest closer to 900,000 Indians before you even have Nigerian numbers. Maybe in terms of increase of proportion year by year, you probably would have a rise. But, beginning from this year, when the policy was announced and the Trudeau government began to feel and generally the regional governments began to feel the push from people saying that it's unsustainable, the numbers. So people aren't necessarily upset with the numbers of people coming in terms of, temporary work permit and all of that. What they're concerned is how it's affecting their day-to-day living, the cost of groceries, the cost of housing especially, and then the stress on the infrastructure. So they've already made up their mind going up to 2026. They're going to cut down those numbers, at least 50%. One point which isn't talked about more is the coordination between the federal system of government. So we've had the colleges and the universities go into this sort of decisions to, people have said it's a money grab, especially with international students, without necessarily providing the facilities and infrastructure in the provinces they are going to be schooling in. So I think going forward, from the discussions that have been happening between the federal and the regional and municipal government, is to ensure that before any school brings in any student into the country, they will have to answer the questions of where they're going to stay, where they're going to work, and all of those questions which previously hadn't been answered. So it's something to think about in terms of regional planning going forward.
And when you travel, immigration is one end of it. People immigrate just so that they can also integrate. But when you look at what's happening in the UK right now, there is a drop in revenue from Nigerian students because of the policies, and UK universities are suffering for that. Do you also see that becoming the case in Canada if this immigration policy, if they go through with it?
Interestingly, a number of colleges, I think the leadership of many of the colleges did kind of letter to, I think it was Deport, who's the regional head here in Ontario. And they sort of said, look, if this goes on, it's going to affect not just the revenue for the schools and possibly see them having to fold up a number of those colleges. It's also going to affect the workforce because many of the jobs around here depend on the student population who are given temporary work permit, and then they can fill up a lot of those positions. But there's also another argument saying that instead of the workforce growing, horizontally in terms of skills and in terms of earnings, it's getting worse because people are having to earn far lower than they should have. Because if you're going to employ someone and you can pay him far less than what you would pay someone who's gone to university, and then it's a capitalist society, so they're built and they're driven basically by reducing the cost of operations and maximizing profits. So they've I've talked about that also too. But like I said, it's an election year coming, and in terms of approval rating, the federal government is facing a huge problem. I mean, most of the problems
absolutely
they're
immigration.
not supposed to bear the burden for.
Immigration is a big issue in the UK, in the US, and in Canada as well. Right. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sure we'll continue to talk to you as this issue progresses. Nigerian journalist based.
All right, guys. So that's a journalist based in Canada giving an update on this matter. Guys, let me know your opinion on this. And don't forget to share this video. Everybody needs to gear up and secure their country, secure their territory. If we're hoping on Japa, it will fail us just like it's failing already. Imagine 70,000 Nigerian students graduate. They are now being used and dumped. They have been used and dumped. All the money they made, all the money they paid as school fees. Okay, come and pack your load and start going. This is not your country. Guys, that's it. So please, if you come across this video, do well to share it. And also, if you're sending money from Canada, please do well to use tap send and use my promo code, which is Critics News. Okay, it's not only Canada. You can also send money from UK, Europe, and USA. Anywhere, they are going to be adding those bonuses if you use my promo code. Just don't forget that. All right. Thank you and God bless you. See you on the next one.